What's going on, everybody? Happy Labor Day. Hopefully you've been having a good weekend. Now in this video, I'm going to go over Bitcoin, what's going on Bitcoin's chart. We do have a potential pattern that may play out, but we need a little more drop in my opinion. We'll go over this pattern. We're also going to go over some big news regarding Bitcoin whales. Yes, they are loading up. We also have some upcoming economic data to be aware of, but let's get started on this video. And first off, let's look at Bitcoin. And last time we saw it, we did see a bit of a rally. If we break this level, I do think there's potential for an inverse head and shoulders, which is bullish. Here's the first shoulder, here's the head, and potentially the next shoulder, maybe if we pull down to about 56,000. I'll show you another inverse head and shoulders that we saw, and then we shortly after went on a little bit of a run. Back in May of 2024, we saw an inverse head and shoulders. Here's the shoulder, the head, and the other shoulder. Then we went on to about 70,000 from the 50s. We could definitely see something similar play out here. And as a side note, many of you might be noticing if you look up news on Bitcoin, left and right, just constant articles saying September is always a bad month, historically. More often than not, it's a bad month. I went over this in my previous video. I'll leave it down below for you guys at the end screen. But in reality, when you look at halving years, 2 out of 3 halving years, Bitcoin was in the green. So more often than not, Bitcoin was in the green, despite September usually being a bad month. I think September is likely to be a really good month here. We just got through a lot of worry. We're not entering September on good terms necessarily. We're not entering September from a strong August. We're entering September from a somewhat weak last couple of months. Bitcoin back in March made it to its new all-time high of 74,000. Bitcoin in August dropped all the way to about 49,000. I do think there's a good likelihood we will see a good September. Everyone's saying it's going to be bad, and people just aren't paying attention to the fact that on a halving year, September more often than not has been actually good. So if this was just a regular year for Bitcoin and not a halving year, I might tend to agree about September, but I just feel like people are already writing September off as a bad month, when that might not be the case. Now you might be wondering what these orange certain levels are. These are all different points that Bitcoin will likely test and either break and continue or get rejected off of and retest its previous zone. We almost broke this roughly 57, but it did hold up. Now we were working our way back upwards towards 59.5. Perhaps we come and test it. If we fail that, we are heading back towards that 57. If that fails, we're probably going to create our inverse head and shoulders if Bitcoin heads down to about 55,000. But if Bitcoin's able to hold and break 59.5, more importantly, the psychological 60, we will likely come up and test 62,000, which is where our 50 MA is. But you can see how Bitcoin kind of gravitates towards these certain zones. It either tries to bounce on them. If it fails, it will go to the next zone. Here's something really telling with Bitcoin. Whales hoarding Bitcoin. Wallets with 100 plus Bitcoin hit a 17-month high. While retail's getting spooked out, whales are buying. And here's a post from Santiment showing this. As crypto prices have let retail traders down, Bitcoin whales are growing in number. A net gain of 283 wallets holding at least 100 Bitcoin has emerged in just 1 month. The now 16,120 wallets on the network has broken a 17-month high. And not only whales, but sharks as well are increasing their holdings. These Bitcoin wallets with at least 10 Bitcoin, they have been increasing their holdings as well. And I'm sorry, I'm sure this is very blurry for you guys, but I think it gets the general point across that in 2020, once we saw the whales really enter, that's when Bitcoin went on to break out of its roughly 10,000 area, and shortly after went on to new all-time highs. 2024, you'll see the whales are starting to really pile in. We are right at our previous resistance. Very, very similar chart. And I recently showed you guys news that Bitcoin hit a low on reserves, levels we haven't seen since November of 2018. Well, we had news the other day that Bitcoin's exchange reserves reached a new yearly low. I do want to show you guys that we have a jobs report coming up. And this is going to be the August job report. This is going to release on this Friday. And the market's definitely going to be watching this. If job data comes in weak, the probability for a 50 basis point cut likely increases. If jobs come out strong, the market will probably continue to expect a 25 basis point cut rather than a 50. But the market's definitely going to be closely watching this after our revised new jobs numbers, after our growth in unemployment. Now here's something interesting. Expectations are that unemployment comes down to 4.2, which is a decrease from where it is, which is a positive. You can see kind of the direction things are going though. Look at unemployment, it's at a multi-year high, and look at job growth. It is pretty much at a multi-year low. This next jobs report will definitely be important. And another thing that'll be very important to watch, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, but it's good to know that it's coming, is CPI and PPI. CPI is going to be releasing September 11 and PPI September 12. It's going to be very important to see that these are coming down as we approach the Fed meeting in the end of September. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think September will turn out to be a good month? Or do you think the market's right, despite knowing that the halving years, typically September's pretty good? And what do you think about the Bitcoin whales loading up on Bitcoin? I think they also know what to expect. Q4 of the halving years, we always see a rally, and I think this time we will see no different. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you continue to enjoy your 3-day weekend, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.